Good evening, dear friends, dear guests, and welcome to the online conference, Atma the Self Has No Gender. I hope you can all hear us and see us well. At this conference, we will address philosophy and practice of Sanatan Dharma and explore why Sanatan Dharma can be an answer to achieving United Nations gender equality goals. We welcome all of you distinguished speakers who are joining us all around the globe. And once again, a warm welcome to you, dear friends, dear guests, dear supporters, who are joining us through this Zoom session. According to Sanatan Dharma, we will start the conference by offering our salutation to Sri Ganeshji, by mantra chanting and lighting the Deepak. I kindly invite Mahamandaleshwar, Swami Vivek Puriji, in the name of the organizer, Hindu Religious Society of Croatia, to open the conference with this offering.
Om Shubham Karoti Kalyanam
Argandam
Sampradam Shatrubudhi Nasaya Dipajoti
Namostute.
Om Gananam Tvar Ganapati Gum Bhavamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamasravastamam Jestarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashruvanuti Visida Sadhanam Om Mahaganapataye Namaha Naham Karata Prabhudeep Karata Maha Prabhudeep Karata Hi Kevam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Alakhoji Siddha Pit Parampara Ki Jai.
Dear guests, distinguished speakers, we hereby declare the conference open. In the name of the organizer, Hindu Religious Society of Croatia, let me wish a warm welcome to our today's speakers. Dr. Mysorekar, President of Hindu Temple Society of North America, coming to us from New York, United States. Mahamandaleshwar Swami Gyaneshwar Puri, President of Om Vishwa Gurudeep Ashram, coming to us from Jaipur, Rajasthan, India. Mrs. Denise Scotto, Chair of International Day of Yoga Committee at the United Nations, coming to us from New York, United States. Mrs. Lakshmi Srivastava, representative of Embassy of India to Republic of Croatia, coming to us from Zagreb, Croatia. Mr. Alen Minic, Head of Social Welfare Zagreb, Sesvete Branch, coming to us from Zagreb, Croatia. Mrs. Ingeborg Maticic, Assistant Professor at the Faculty of Economics and Business at the University of Zagreb, coming to us from Zagreb, Croatia. Mrs. Chiati Ratore, Climate Change Analyst at the World Bank, coming to us from Washington, United States. And His Holiness, Vishwaguru Mahamandaleshwar, Paramhans Sri Swami Maheshwarananda Puriji of Sri Panchayati, Maha Nirvana Akhara, coming to us from Guruji Ashram in Vienna, Austria. Dear speakers, thank you for accepting our invitation and your willingness to share your thoughts. We are looking forward to hearing your words. My name is Tina Sirotic, and I will be moderating this conference. Now let me guide you through some of the conference formality. Regarding schedule, we will open with the opening words from the organizer, and then continue with inspiring global speakers, Dr. Mysorekar, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Gyaneshwarji, and Mrs. Scotto. We will end the first part with a short music interval. After the interval, we will continue with experts sharing learnings from real-life experience. Mrs. Srivastava, Mr. Minic, Mrs. Maticic, and Mrs. Ratore. And after that, we will have a brief overview of the conference. And then, last but not least, our keynote speaker, His Holiness Vishwaguruji. And with the words from His Holiness, we will finish this conference. We have planned this conference to last for 2 hours, and we truly hope you will enjoy it. For your information, this conference will be recorded and available afterwards on website satsanathankultura.com. So, this conference is organized on the occasion of International Women's Day. And let me take this opportunity to congratulate International Women's Day to all of us, especially ladies who are here with us today. And as said before, the aim of the conference is to address philosophy and practice of Satsanatan Dharma and explore why Satsanatan Dharma can be an answer to achieving United Nations gender equality goals. We will now open the conference with our organizer, President of Hindu Religious Society of Croatia, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vivek Puriji. Let me shortly introduce you to him. Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vivek Puri is a long-time disciple of His Holiness Vishwaguruji and is one of his first disciples in Croatia. Besides running Hindu Religious Society, he is also a co-founder of Croatia Yoga and Daily Life Association. Under the system of yoga in daily life, he has been practicing and teaching classes for almost 40 years. He is also giving lectures and specialized workshops all over Europe and even on other continents. For his work in promoting Satsanatan Dharma and yoga, in 2013, he received a title of Mahamandaleshwar of Maha Nirvani Akhara. Please welcome Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vivek Puriji.
Pranam Vishwaguruji, Hari Om, dear friends, dear distinguished guests, speakers. I'm very happy that today we have such conference here in the Zagreb, in the Croatia, especially because Women's Day, and not only this, but gender equality is very important, especially nowadays we will hear on this conference. First, what I would like to tell that is what is the Sanatan Dharma? Sanatan Dharma is something what is not religions, something what is very, very old. We will say that is the Adi Anadi, without beginning and without end. And all religions come and have the origin in the Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is something what is a blueprint of the whole universe. That is the main principle. And if we understand this main principle, we will be happy and healthy in this world. Not only in this world, but we will be achieving our goal, what is the be protector of the whole planet. But what is the most important and why we are having this conference, that is the topic what we have now, that is the Atma, soul, this self, is not depending on the gender, it is not depending on the caste, society, religion, that is not depending of any human, animal, or plant. Atma is in everything same. And that is the main principle. If we understand that, if we understand that Atma is without gender, the Atma is without social status, in that moment, we don't have any problem. We don't have a distance and saying somebody is better than other. That is the main principle. And if we want to achieve that is equal, that is not anymore on this planet problem with the gender, we must understand that that Atma is the same. In ancient time, before modern religion, was equal men and women. It was without any difference. And in ancient time, before Kali Yuga, in that time, women have the same position like a man. It was not depending on the gender, but it is depending on your inner quality. And in the some principle in the society, in every aspect of the living, the man in women is the same. And that is our main goal, how to achieve this. This is not achieving with having some education in the school. That is achieving only in the home, at the home. That is the home education. And because of that, we said that is the mother is the first God. Why we said that is the mother is so important? Because in the Croatia, we said that mother, that women is the taking and supporting three angle of the house, and man is one. And why is this? Because mother, and what we said in India, Mataji, and in our also ancient time, we say mother, that is who educate the children, who give the education, give the support of the family, and mother is the main for this family. And without family, everything is just losing. We lose the tradition, we lose the respect, and also what is the very important for from Sanatan Dharma is how to address family, how to address people. Especially in ancient times, same in the Croatia was, when you address some elderly person, you said mother or father. If you address with your same age, you say brother, sister, or my child. And that is the protection. That is the protection of the society. Because in the moment when you said Mataji, mother, when you said my child, my sister, in that moment, you will not harm that person. And giving that education again to the basic, to family, to children, that is the most important. And we said in the Roman time, we said that is a hand, which is the taking care of swinging the this cradle, is the ruling the world. But in the positive way, in the Sanatan Dharma, only through education, through that mother education, father education, grandparents, we will achieve gender equality. And we will understand, and that is the main of spirituality, and our main goal in Hindu religious society, to again give the knowledge of Sanatan Dharma. It is not some religious, but something which is a blueprint of the whole universe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahamandaleshwar, Swami Vivek, Puriji, for opening the conference and giving us an umbrella under which we will work for the next 2 hours. Let me now proceed with our first speaker, coming to us from New York, Dr. Mysorekar. Dr. Uma, do we hear each other? Okay, let me give just a second to the technical.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome, Dr. Uma.
Okay, thank you.
Very good to hear you.
I think that you have to introduce the video. Video is not coming because you have to stop. You have stopped it, they said.
Yeah, we will give now a second our technicians just to give everything in place. While I will introduce you. Dr. Mysorekar, coming to us from New York, United States, is the president of Hindu Temple Society. She is born in Bangalore, India, and was a practicing obstetrician and gynecologist for over 30 years. As president of Hindu Temple Society of North America, she has organized programs to bring the community together, including spiritual and cultural manifestations. She initiated interfaith meetings and many other activities to educate people on Hinduism. Dr. Uma Mysorekar, we are very happy to have you as our first speaker to open this conference.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, fantastic. First of all, namaste to all of you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Let me first start with a prayer. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Lead me from unreal to real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, and peace. Thank you for giving me this great opportunity to share my views on this very important subject. As we already heard the opening part from Swamiji, as old as this subject is, it is still new because no resolution has ever been reached. Can you people hear me and see me? Yes?
Dr. Uma, we are not able to see you yet.
I don't know why, because my...
Can you maybe start the video at your...
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
now it's
we hear now.
Probably. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you see me also?
Yes.
Yes?
Very
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Very good. Great. Thank you, Swami Anandi of Hindu Religious Society of Croatia and Yoga in Daily Life for inviting me to this very distinguished forum. My humble respects to His Holiness, Vishwaguru, Mahamandaleshwar, Paramhans, Sri Swami Mahamandaleshwarananda Puriji of Panchayati, Maha Nirvani Akhara, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Gyaneshwar Puri and Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vivek Puri and all other distinguished leaders and guests. As we all know, International Women's Day was celebrated just recently on March 8th to commemorate the cultural, political, socio-economic achievements of women. It is also a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. Gender and religion are important and interesting topics, and there are many ways these two topics intermingle and affect each other. There are also ways that one could go about analyzing the complex and ever-changing relationship between religion and gender. As with many aspects of the world, women generally are at a disadvantage, especially in the religious realm. When we discuss gender or gender equality in Hinduism, we have to consider it from spiritual and worldly perspectives. Men and women are expected to perform separate roles as dictated by the traditions, the law books, for the preservation of Dharma and continuation of family and society. In Hinduism, gender distinctions are not confined to earthly life only, but extend to the whole creation. The duality of gender exists not only in our world, but also in higher and lower worlds. The whole creation is clearly distinguished into male and female components, represented by Purusha and Shakti or Prakriti. Gender is a manifestation of Shakti. Gender distinctions are mostly confined to the body or the form. Deep inside, we all represent the same indivisible, indistinguishable, imperishable, the eternal Brahman. The essence of it is that whether you are a male or a female, you are a combination of Shiva and Shakti. They exist in everyone as an inseparable entity. Masculinity or femininity arises from Shakti only. Spiritually, all beings are equal. The soul does not participate in creating these distinctions. It has no gender, but it has asexual. It does not take part in the creation or the manifestation of anything. but its presence is necessary for Shakti to manifest the forms and the functions. Although men and women should be treated equally, in practice, this does not happen. We all know that. This shows that our idealism and spiritual beliefs rarely become translated into reality. This problem is not confined to Hinduism only, but also in many other religions. Discrimination of women still exists in various forms in contemporary Hindu communities. In some communities, it is even more pronounced. In reality, a woman is not inferior simply because she is a woman, nor is a man superior simply because he is a man. Both are equal because they are embodiments of Purusha and Prakriti. Everyone has a destiny to fulfill and karma to resolve, and therefore must fulfill one's obligatory functions and duties. I have just conveyed my brief thoughts on this vast subject, something we can sit and discuss for hours together. Even though the world is progressing in the field of science and everything else, but this distinction between man and a woman, the treatment of men and women, is still far from reality. So our hope and prayers today, that as we all sit and echo the same sentiment, we shall pray to the God Almighty that He will bring in this distinct change among the humans to consider everyone, men, women, children, with the same kind of respect, love, so that the world can be at peace. I will now conclude with a universal prayer from Swami Shivananda, which shows how all of us are just the same. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Sat Chit Ananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. Thank you so much for giving me this great opportunity. Hopefully, I was able to convey a few important thoughts of mine, and we look forward to interaction from others. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mysorekar. It was short and sweet, and as you said, we could go on for hours and hours to such a big topic.
Right. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you.
We will now go on with our speakers. And we are moving from United States to India now, to Jaipur, Rajasthan, to welcome our Mahamandaleshwar, Gyaneshwar Puriji, coming to us from Om Vishwaguru Ashram in Jaipur. Do you hear us and see us well?
Yes, everything is okay. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, great, excellent. Let me give you a short introduction. Mahamandaleshwar Swami Gyaneshwar Puri is also a long-time disciple of His Holiness Vishwaguru, originally coming from Zagreb, but has been living in India for more than 2 decades. He's studying Indian tradition, history, spirituality, and Sanskrit. He has obtained a master's degree in Gandhi Peace Studies in India, as well as certificates for Sanskrit language, grammar, and Vedic studies. In 2007, Vishwaguruji initiated him into order of sannyasi, and in 2013, he was initiated into Mahamandaleshwar of Maha Nirvani Akhara for his long-time work in promoting yoga and Sanatan Dharma. Welcome, Mahamandaleshwar. We are looking forward to hearing your words.
Hari Om. I would like first to extend my greetings to our master, Vishwaguru Mahamandaleshwar Paramhans Swami Maheshwarananda, who is also the founder of Sri Swami Madhavanand World Peace Council and International Yoga and Daily Life Fellowship. I would also greet our dear friend, Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vivek Puri, President of Hindu Society of Croatia. I thank also to Dr. Mysorekar, the President of Hindu Temple Society, for her kind words of wisdom. And then we will also hear about from Denise Scotto, Chair of International Day of Yoga Committee in UN, Lakshmi Srivastava from Indian Embassy in Croatia, Alan Minic, Ingeborg Matečić, and of course, Kjati Rator. So dear guests, delegates, dear friend, it's a vast topic, and we can also see from the topic we are following the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal to achieve gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. And just 3 days back, there was a celebration of International Women's Day under the theme of gender equality today for sustainable tomorrow. Of course, it's a very vast topic, and this struggle for gender equality is also very long, not only since the United Nations told us about it, but it's also going for a very long time. The question which I wanted to ask today is, can the ancient cultures help us with that? Because most of the time we think that we are living now in modern age, and that the Asian culture are also uneducated culture. And I would like to concentrate on the Vedic culture or Sanatan Dharma. Can this culture help us in gender equality? In short, yes, they can help us. As we know, or many of you knows, that the oldest scripture or holy text is Rig Veda. It's written at least 4000 BC. And it's written in a form of verses called mantras. And there are around 10,500 mantras inside. And each set of mantra has the seer or the rishi who wrote it. And out of these seers, there are 27 women who also they author the mantra, plus around 10 more who are mentioned in the mantras themselves. So we know there are some like Gosha, Goda, Vishwavarta, Lopamudra, and so on. During the ages, we can find many women who gave their lives to promoting the equality and so on. And knowledge is not foreign to the women in all ages. In King Janaka's court, one very famous king of India, the wise saint Yagyavalkya had always some discussions and on the questions of Gargi. So the women who are taking this kind of topics of spirituality are called Rishikas. The men are Rishis, or they are also Brahmavadinis. So the Gargi put such a question to Yagyavalkya that Yagyavalkya had lots of problem to answer it. And also from Ramayana, we know that Kekai, the king of wife of King Dashrata, was with him on the battlefield. And this is not only one case. Through the history or through the literature of India, we can find out many cases like that where the women are going with their husbands to war. And the equality of men and women can be also traced through many texts. But unfortunately, of course, there is always decay, and India was constantly invaded and rulers were changed. So gender equality and all other kinds of freedom were usually take the first hit and they are lost. For example, in India, there is one very famous third gender called Kinnaras. So Kinnars are they're considered neither male and female, and in the texts like Mahabharata and many other ones, they are considered to be very holy, and many people come to them for their blessings, for the children and so on. But the British rulers make them banned and prosecuted. So this changes with the different ruling, with the colonialism and so on. The texts get changed. Doesn't matter how much we try, there is always some change in the textbooks. And for example, there is one, let's say, famous or infamous text called Manusmriti, law book of the Manu. And inside there is one mantra, Pita Rakshati Kaumare, Bharta Rakshati Yauvane, Varda Ketu Suto Rakshan Stri Swatantra Marhati. It says basically that the father should take care or protect his daughter, the husband, wife, and son, mother. And now, of course, depends who is presenting the text. Usually it's presented, the woman should never be free. She should always be dependent on somebody, and so on. And the text simply says that woman should not, that one should protect her, and she should, the woman should always be protected, and not let her being defended for her own. So there are things like that, the mantras like this, which get distorted through the ages, they are used with the smart people to negate the freedom or equality of women and things like that. Of course, there is, in India, there are many saints and many learned scholars who try to nullify or reduce this damage by these wrong texts or distortion of the literature. Because we, on one side, we have the law. And in the law, we have, if you follow United Nations, we have fundamental rights. And in India, these fundamental rights are implemented in constitution. So there is a law base for the equality, but what can the law do if the whole society doesn't accept the change? So we need to make the mindset of the people has to change. So from my perspective, this, as Mahamandaleshwar Vivek Puriji said, if we just teach the children Matri Devo Bhava and Pitri Devo Bhava, so it means the parents, the mother and father are like gods. So it means that they should be respected. Why? Because as a gods, they're taking care of us. But on the other side, the mothers and fathers should also understand that they should be the ones who protect their children and nourish their children as gods. It's not one-way street, it's both-way street. And also one very important thing, especially now today's age, when single marriage is very rare and means it's very difficult and so on, but we can go to the past, and when there was this general idea that the men should consider only their wife, woman, and the rest women, they should be their sisters, mothers, grandmothers, or daughters. And same is from the side of the women towards the men. So these simple things, because we need the mindset change of the people, you know, from this spending society to something else, to the real values, it takes time. This all takes time, and and as everybody of you knows, there is many more things one can do. And in this quite short time to say anything more for this huge topic. So I will just stop here with the idea that we are all equal. There is basically, when you check when you see the Atma, there is no male or female. And if you go even more in the reincarnation, you will see that who was the male and who is the female and so on. So it's a really vast topic. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I hope for the nice continuing of this conference. Thank
you, Mahamandaleshwar Gyaneshwarji, for these truly inspiring words and prayers and mantras. We will now proceed with the conference. And again, from Jaipur, we will go back to United States, to New York, where Mrs. Denise Scotto should be joining us. Yes, excellent. Welcome. Can you hear
Pranams.
us?
Namaste, everyone. It's so delightful to be with you all and to connect in this way. I am very, very joyful in my heart to be with Vishwaguru, who has been a special guest of ours at the United Nations for Yoga Day and for other special events, and to work so closely with the able and distinguished and skilled representatives of yoga in daily life. So they serve us very proudly in New York and at the UN to promote the underlying values of yoga. I am very much holding the idea of gender equality close to my heart because I have worked in this area for decades, not years, but decades. And I've worked in the UN system to promote and advance the situation of women and girls from a legal standpoint, because I am an attorney at law. So when Swami just spoke about the law and he spoke about human rights, that's something that I've done a lot of work on for many years. And we have an incredible solid foundation of international law, which talks about guaranteeing the rights of women and men, girls and boys. And the preamble to the United Nations, to the Charter, and also to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, these foundational documents really talk about equality of men and women. But I don't want to speak about those topics. I'm happy to do that at another time. I really want to speak more to the Vedic philosophy and tradition that was so beautifully laid out in the introduction with our Swami, and then again with Dr. Uma. And I'd like to talk from a practical standpoint in my own personal life, because I'm finding myself in this situation that is a very challenging one. In the second week of January of this year, my mom had a terrible fall and she almost died. It's such a miracle that she's alive. And I believe that God has been protecting her, protected her, and continues to protect her. And trying to figure out what to do, I found her lying on the floor after this fall and got the ambulance, and we went to the emergency room. My mom has lived alone, but after this accident, I moved into her house with my 2 cats. So my life has changed greatly, as has her. And without a strong faith and without believing, as we heard in the Atma, that men and women, right, are soul beings and that we have a soul relationship. We connect with the Atma if we're conscious and we have that intentionality to really connect with the God in the other. This is what I am trying to keep in my mind and in my heart. It's very challenging because we're different in so many ways. We have different ways of seeing the world, different faith traditions. We have different levels of education, different experiences. My mom is 35 years older than I am. It was a different world when she was born and when she was living. And the thing that I keep coming back to is this idea not of seva, of selfless service. It goes beyond that. And I hope that you can understand. What I'm trying to do is when I help my mom trying to dress her, I am doing puja to Lakshmi. When I am cooking and feeding and getting ready to help her eat, it's to Kali Ma. When I'm helping my mom in so many ways and I find it difficult inside, I connect to something greater, to myself, and I connect to that divinity. And I say, this is the God, this is the goddess. Aside from my mother giving birth to me, it goes so much beyond that. And this is such a great lesson to be living and hopefully to be learning. And I have to also tell you, my mom, when I was a kid growing up, I have one sister, my mom never wanted animals, no pets. She hates animals. We could never have that in our apartment. And for me to move in with my two cats, who have been some of my greatest teachers over the years that I've been with them, is also another interesting mix on all of this, to see how she is reacting and how the cats are responding, and how, in spite of her negativity and her not liking them, how they still are trying to give her love and be close to her. And it comes back to about having that openness in heart and that compassion, and not seeing those boundaries and those walls that we consciously or unconsciously place up. So I hope that by sharing my personal experience, we know the tremendous energy physically that it takes and emotionally, but spiritually is the real work. And getting back to what Swami said about the law, I know that the law is important because it tells society what is acceptable behavior and what is not acceptable behavior. But it does not make people change their behavior. What changes people's behavior, in my opinion, is the experiences that they have. The experience of life changes their mind, but changes their heart. And when that happens, then actions do change. So I want to wish everyone, men and women, a very happy International Women's Day, and thank all the male champions who are with us today for promoting these underlying values to ensure the dignity of our women and girls. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise Scotto. It was truly a personal experience, and thank you for sharing that with us. As Swami Gyaneshwar Puriji just said a while ago, it is the way we treat children and the way the children treat us back. So it's truly an experience and a practice of Sanatan Dharma that you have spoken now in your small chat. Thank you for that. And dear guests, dear friends, with this we have come to the end of the first part. We will now have a short music interval, and we will continue afterwards with our expert speakers. Enjoy your short break.
चंदन है इस देश की माटी, तपोभूमि हर ग्राम है, हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा, बच्चा बच्चा राम है, बच्चा बच्चा राम है। यह शरीर मंदिर सा पावन, हर मानव उपकारी है, जहाँ सिंह बन गए खिलौने, गाय जहाँ माँ प्यारी है, जहाँ सवेरा शंख बजाता, लोरी गाती शाम है, हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा, बच्चा बच्चा राम है, बच्चा बच्चा राम है। जिसके सैनिक समर भूमि में गाया करते गीता है, जहाँ खेत में हल के नीचे खेला करती सीता है, जीवन का आदर्श जहाँ पर परमेश्वर का धाम है, हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा, बच्चा बच्चा राम है, बच्चा बच्चा राम है। जहाँ कर्म से भाग्य बदलते, श्रम निष्ठा कल्याणी है, त्याग और तप की गाथाएं गाती कवि की वाणी है। ज्ञान जहाँ का गंगा जल सा निर्मल है, अभिराम है। हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा, बच्चा बच्चा राम है, बच्चा बच्चा राम है। चंदन है इस देश की माटी, तपोभूमि हर ग्राम है। हर बाला देवी की प्रतिमा, बच्चा बच्चा राम है, बच्चा बच्चा राम है।
And dear speaker, dear guests, welcome back to the conference, Atma Has No Gender. We just had the opportunity to listen to one song, and let me just briefly tell you the words. It says that every girl is a Lakshmi and every boy is a Ram. So both principles are the God principle. Mahamandaleshwar Swami Gyaneshwar Puriji spoke about it. Mahamandaleshwar Swami Vivek Puriji spoke about it. And other speakers as well have mentioned these principles. So once again, on this conference, we want to explore how Sanatan Dharma can be an answer to achieving United Nations gender equality goals. And we will now continue with our expert speakers who will speak on specific topics such as education, climate, and social welfare. We will welcome first Mrs. Srivastava. Mrs. Srivastava is representative of Embassy of India to Republic of Croatia. Mrs. Lakshmi Srivastava, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, excellent, welcome.
Hello.
Let me just give you a short introduction. Mrs. Srivastava is an IT and a linguist. She has moved to various parts of the world and met people of different traditions and customs: Japan, Myanmar, Spain, Brazil, Austria, and now Croatia. She is learning Croatian now, which is her 9th language. She has the first-hand experience of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, and she lives this principle by accepting local culture and trying to see things through the lens of local persons. At the same time, she's carrying her mother India in her own DNA. If I may be also free to add, we saw that just yesterday you had also a lecture on the topic of brave Indian women from the past at the Faculty of Electrotechnics in Zagreb. So we are really looking forward to hearing from you today. Mrs. Lakshmi Srivastava.
Namaskar. Dobra večer. Dear guests and speakers, let me ask you if you can see me.
Yes, we can see you and hear you very well.
Okay, I'm glad. So, namaskar, dobra večer, and a very good evening, dear guests, distinguished guests, respectable guest speakers, Zoom attendees, and viewers. Let me introduce myself a little more. My name is Mrs. Lakshmi Srivastava. I'm the wife of the Ambassador of India to Croatia, His Excellency Sri Rajkumar Srivastava. It's my honor and pleasure to be here and be part of such soulful discussions. First of all, I would like to thank the Hindu Religious Society of Croatia and Yoga in Daily Life for inviting me to participate in this online conference commemorating the International Women's Day and present my thoughts on the topic, Atma, the self has no gender. I would like to start my talk with a mantra. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukh bhag bhavet, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This mantra means, may everyone be happy, that everyone, every animal, every person, and every atom, energy, or whatever creatures should be happy and free from suffering. This mantra can also be chanted daily for general pacification. Mantra has both physiological and psychological effects on your body. The mantra of Swasti and Shanti can be your daily prayer and can calm your soul and mind, as well as cleanse your heart to maintain a healthy, happy, and stress-free life. This pacifying mantra is believed to be inspired by the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, verse 1.4.14. This mantra, Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, is a very spiritual mantra that I think everyone should know and chant. A mantra is like a chisel. It chips away the ego and reveals the divine core in each one of us. The more we chant the mantra, the more it dissolves the ego and empowers us. The literal meaning of this mantra is that everyone should be happy. It is with this intention that this mantra is chanted, which gives peace of mind. One should wish that everyone, be they people, birds, animals, and all other living beings, were healthy and happy. And if someone is unhappy or sick, another duty is to help him or her. Repetition of this mantra can fill you with compassion and loving kindness, as it exemplifies an altruistic mindset of well-being for everyone, not just for humans, but for all sentient beings. The reason I chose to say this mantra today is because it was written for all that has Atma or soul. It is believed that Atma is not just genderless, but also formless. It can reincarnate as human, male or female or the third gender, or even as an animal, plant, or any living creature. It touches every soul that hears this mantra. When we talk about gender, the genders as determined by the physical bodies are temporary and illusory, in the sense that they do not have anything to do with the soul. Genders are nothing but roles that the Atma gets to play in this world. And once the role is over, the Atma moves to a different role, which can be in a different physical living form. The role of a man or woman has always been different from each other physically, but these gender differences don't make any of the two any different spiritually. Hindu culture says that the whole world is one big family. Having traveled almost the world and lived in different countries, I always felt this true. I am blessed to have known so many different people from different walks of life. Not only just people, but I also have seen many different species of birds, animals, and plants, and living beings native to different regions of the world. I can surely say that people are the same wherever you go. And I feel lucky that I was able to connect with them in every country that I stayed in. I believe that when the soul or Atma gets connected to a place or the people of that place, then living far away from one's motherland is not that difficult. And building soulful connections can only happen when you have the inner happiness and peace. That's the main reason why I relate so much to this mantra, Sarve Sukhinaha mantra. Atma is beyond physiological differences of man and woman. Let us all be connected to each other in this world through our souls. Let us help each other and uplift each other without having any gender discriminations. So, thank you all for listening to my talk. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Lakshmi Srivastava. It was really nice to hear you chant the mantra and all the speak that you gave.
Thank you.
We will now continue with the guests here in our studio. Here tonight with us is Mr. Alan Minic, who is the head of Social Welfare Zagreb, Sesvete branch. He has many years of experience in working with vulnerable social groups, such as elderly, migrants, children with disorders in behavior, children without proper parental care, and parents in the conflicting divorce processes. In his talk, he will focus on the current pandemic influences on the mental and social health of social welfare users. Mr. Minic, we welcome you.
Hari Om, pozdrav svima. Good evening, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here with you tonight, and it's a very big honor for me to take a part of this conference. And I thank the organizers for calling me. And with a little delay, I will take this opportunity and congratulate all women their day. So happy International Women's Day for all women, and I want to thank them for all what they have been doing for us in this world. So, and I want to greet my master, Vishwaguru, Swami Maheshwarananda, His Holiness, and also I must say to thank him for all what I have achieved in my life. All my knowledge comes actually from yoga, and as part of a social welfare system in Zagreb, in Croatia, I try to implement many yoga principles in my work, and sometimes it's very difficult, but I try to do my best. So I have one short presentation, so let's start. My topic is the impact of the pandemic on the users of the social welfare system. Just a second. As I told you before, in my life, I made a conscious decision to be actively involved in social work as my profession, also as yoga. So I have two professions, and in both areas, it's very big emphasis on equal respect for all people. So all my life, I try to contribute to supporting gender equality as one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I will try to shed my opinion about pandemic and the impact the pandemic on users of social welfare system. 2 years ago, most of the inhabitants of the world were surprised and frightened by lockdown, and people find themselves enclosed in space, very enclosed spaces of rooms, apartments, and houses. And suddenly change circumstances, and people started to have some mental problems, like psychological problems, and also they have problem with mental and social health. And so in our Center for the Social Welfare, we have witnessed that the number of domestic violence cases almost doubled during the pandemic. Also, the number of children with behavioral disorders increased, almost double, and it was an increase in divorce claims. So we should made opinion and proposal concerning the issue which parent the child should continue living with. And also it was an increase in the number of children which should be placed in children's homes because of inadequate parental care. So we found ourselves in a situation that we didn't have enough accommodation for children which should be urgently separated from the family because of violence and as have told before, inadequate parental care. So we have nowhere to place the children who had to be placed, and we also didn't have foster homes for children. Unfortunately, in 2021, we also noted an increase in peer violence, both in schools and outside of it. In the last 2 years, in the city of Zagreb, it's very sad, but the number of children who committed suicide doubled. Largely related to the negative impact of the pandemic on people's mental health. So many people called us, they didn't know what to do because of problem with the children and with appearing violence between children, peer violence. And it was an increase in the number of police reports regarding domestic violence that occurs daily within the family. So it was also connected with coronavirus crisis, which greatly affected the socio-economic status of many families. So in our center, we noted that the number of applications for the right to the guaranteed minimum benefit also increased. So the impact of the pandemic also felt by the elderly population. It's very important to say that many elderly people even call the police due to loneliness and anxiety. So also we noticed that it was many callings from psychiatric hospitals and they asking us for treatment and protection of the elderly. Because many of them, unfortunately, weren't able to see their own children even for several months, or grandchildren also. It's also important to say that many parents abuse pandemic and IQ recommendation in order to manipulate and deny the other parent to see their child, because you know, many parents are divorced and a parent which is not living with their child couldn't see their child because of manipulation of mother or father. So also it was a significant increase in violence against women. We were witness that violence against women increased also. And we had a number of situations that we should to find accommodation in safe houses and the other shelters for women subjected to violence. Also, when we found that the pandemic has so harmful influence on people's mental health and also social health, we should find awakening powers in us who are working with those people. And I found myself that the most powerful techniques are in yoga, because the techniques of yoga in daily life helped and are helping the most, because in yoga we have a focus on 4 aspects of health: physical, mental, social, and spiritual health. And all 4 healths are very affected by the pandemic, because as I told you before, people are suffer from many psychological problems. They were very lonely. They suffer from loneliness because of social distance, and all that was very bad for our clients and users, and I should practice yoga more than before to stay in a good condition, to be able to help them, because the techniques of yoga in daily life are comprehensive. So a little briefing: asanas, pranayama, and body cleaning techniques, hatha yoga kriyas, are for physical health. Mental health you can achieve through the regular practice of self-analyzed meditation. Social health can be achieved through regular maintenance of healthy interpersonal relationship and an affirmative approach to the community in which we live. And finally, spiritual health can be achieved through prayer, fasting, and an ethical lifestyle. So, it is up to us to use it or lose it, as my Gurudev many times told us, because the light of yoga helped overcoming even the most difficult life situation. Yoga is the supreme principle that unites everything, and through the yoga you can realize that there is no need separation or discrimination on any grounds. So thank you for your attention. Hari Om, Pranam.
Thank you, Mr. Minic, for this very interesting presentation with insightful information for your daily work. It's not really a happiness to hear such thoughts, but they are the reality. And this conference actually aims particularly how we can use Sanatan Dharma, Sanatan principle to make influence of such situation and make them better. Once again, thank you. And we will now proceed to our next speaker, Mrs. Ingeborg Matečić. Mrs. Ingeborg Matečić is Assistant Professor at the Faculty of Economic and Business at the University of Zagreb, Croatia. Welcome, Mrs. Matečić. I hope you can hear us and see us.
Yes, I can hear you and see you very well. Thank you. Can you hear me?
You're coming to us from Alps, from Austria now.
Yes.
Give me just a short, brief moment to introduce you. Mrs. Matečić holds a PhD in economics and cultural anthropology, and she will talk about the role of women in higher education and research. She took the Merle Pledge, an initiative of Sage Athena Swan program at the University of Queensland. And this initiative aims to improve women representation in higher education and research. She has committed to increase visibility and contribution of women in public and professional forums, and to advocate for gender balance and diversity in all professional events, panels, and conferences. Mrs. Matečić, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Firstly, my humble pranam to His Holiness Vishwaguruji, dear Mahamandaleshwars, Gyaneshwar Puriji and Vivek Puriji, dear distinguished guests and speakers, and dear participants of this event. It is really, truly a great honor to be invited to such an event, and I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to say a few words on the topic of gender equality in scientific research. If I would go on with the gender equality in education, I think this talk would definitely be longer than 5 or 10 minutes. So I will just stick to the scientific research. When I thought about the topic of this speech and women's role in scientific research, the first woman who crossed my mind was Marie Curie, as she was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in physics in 1903 with her husband Pierre Curie, and later in 1911 in chemistry. Then I started to do research just out of curiosity to see what is the percentage of women who got Nobel Prize in different categories. And here are the results. So unique Nobel Prize laureates include 885 men, 58 women, and 25 organizations. As of 2021, 18 women have won the Nobel Peace Prize, which is about 16.5% of the total number of awarded. 13% have won the Nobel Prize in literature. 5.4% of women have won the Nobel Prize in physiology or medicine. 7 have won the Nobel Prize in chemistry, which is 3.7% of 188 awarded. And since I come from the economic field of research, only 2 ladies have won the Nobel Memorial Prize in economics, economic sciences, which is 2.2% of 89 of awarded. Many would claim that women have the same opportunities as men when they come to a certain level of education, but let's see what statistics have to say about that in the field of scientific research. The study carried out by UNESCO in 2015 and their gender report points out that only 28% of researchers around the world are women, with some countries having higher proportions, like Bolivia, 63%, or Venezuela with 56%, and others lower, as Republic of Korea with only 18% of women, and Japan with 15%. Meanwhile, in France, Germany, and the Netherlands, women comprise just 25% of researchers. Of course, the percentage also varies by field of research, with the highest percentage of women in health and life sciences, and the lowest in engineering and computer science. This report also reveals the possible cause of that shortfall. Although nearly equal numbers of men and women pursue bachelor and master's degree in STEM fields, which are science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the loss of women from the research career path begins at the PhD stage and continues through the highest organizational levels. Furthermore, the publisher, Elsevier, reveals data which shows that gender diversity is crucial to science and why the world needs more women in STEM fields. The need for more women in science goes beyond issues of fairness and ethics. And this research claims that our world would be better off with more women in labs, clinics, and clinical trials. And here are the reasons why. Firstly, scientific research is more accurate when gender is considered. When both men and women are included in the sample, Professor Lee from the Korean Center for Women in Science argues that most scientific research does not consider sex or gender as variables and treats only male as the norm, resulting in different health and safety outcomes, of course, for women and men. And thus the results cannot be generalized. For example, heart disease affects women and men differently. Another professor, such as Professor Schibinger from Stanford University, coined the term gender innovations to describe scientific discoveries enabled by including women as research subjects or by considering gender as a factor in research. Bottom line is that considering gender in research can lead to better and safer research outcomes and products. Secondly, women bring unique perspectives to research and scientific conversation. A report published in the Harvard Business Review claims that diverse research teams are more likely to come up with new ideas and perspectives, and that diversity actually adds to collective intelligence of a research group. Furthermore, many studies have shown that gender diversity in the workforce correlates with profitability and value creation, and that gender diverse leadership improves productivity. To come to the end of this talk, I would just like to repeat the results from Elsevier 2020 Global Report on Gender in Scientific Research. This research actually included all European Union countries, plus both North and South Americas, as well as Japan and Australia. And this research said the following. In some research areas, such as nursing and psychology, women represent the majority of authors. On the other hand, men are better represented among authors with a long scientific publication history across all subject areas within the physical sciences. However, the ratio of women to men as authors decreases over time, contributing to men publishing more, having greater impact as well as exposure to international career advancement. Furthermore, women have a smaller footprint in the research landscape and fall behind men, unfortunately, as it comes to grants and patents. To conclude the speech, overall, we are closer to gender parity now than a decade ago, with women continuing to publish for nearly as long as men over the course of their careers. I would say that this is a good news, considering the fact that increasing gender diversity has a positive impact on productivity, boosts problem solving, and increases innovation, which are all actually essential outcomes for tackling the great challenges of our time. So thank you very much, and pranam to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maticic, for your speak and for supporting the women in research roles. I'm very happy to say that we, at this conference, we also have, maybe by coincidence, maybe not, a touch of Sanatan Dharma principles. We have started with Mataji, Dr. Mysorekar, and now we have come to our youngest speaker, Mrs. Keyati Rattore. It has been said that Sanatan Dharma goes from generation to generation in the family and also through the education and the social welfare. So we are very happy to welcome Ms. Keyati Rattore with us tonight here. I believe she's coming to us from India, if I'm correct. Ms. Rattore, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Excellent. Let me shortly introduce you. Ms. Rattore is a climate change analyst at the World Bank. Although she's very young, she's already an active climate advocate. She's also youth representative for climate change at ECOSOC Forum and younger at the United Nations. She led the initiative called Defend Our Future, where she engaged with young professionals and students to drive private sectors towards climate-friendly business solution. Ms. Rattore, most welcome.
Thank you. First of all, Shashtang Pranam to Vishwaguru, Mahamandaleshwar, Paramhans, Swami, Maheshwarananda, Puriji. Pranam to all my elders, and Hari Om to everyone who has joined us today. With the blessings of Swamiji, I'm honored to speak today in the company of such esteemed guests. On gender equity for sustainable development, I would like to add some thoughts from my perspective as a social scientist in the field of climate change, and very briefly highlight the intersection of gender inequality and climate change. As we commemorate International Women's Day, I would like to take this opportunity to, first of all, celebrate women around the world. In the Hindu mythology, we worship deities, goddesses, who are a symbol of power, knowledge, and most importantly, a nurturer that gives us life and wisdom. And the same is true for women around us. I celebrate them who are playing these different roles in their lives and around the world. But while we celebrate them, it is important to acknowledge and act on the fact that there are many women around the globe that lack the basic rights of equality, choice, and freedom in this unequal and unjust society that we have created for ourselves. And these disparities have become severe threats when our society faces challenges such as climate change or other crises such as the ongoing pandemic that we just talked about. Climate change is causing more and more severe weather events around the globe, harsh conditions that is increasingly affecting all of us and our collective future. However, social inequities associated with gender, with income, with race, can greatly impact the degree to which climate change or other crises affects us as individuals. And that leads to certain members of our communities, and particularly women, to face disproportionate impacts. These factors are key to determining what we call our climate resilience. That is our capacity to protect ourselves, absorb stress, and bounce back from climate impacts and other disaster events. But these pervasive gender inequities and societal norms limit women's access to resources, their mobility, and hence their capacity to fight climate change or other crises and protect themselves against its worst impacts. These challenges are further exacerbated by their women's socioeconomic status and literacy, which act as multipliers or added layers to barriers to their empowerment. So with that brief context, the important question is, what can we do for an equitable and a sustainable future as envisioned by the UN Sustainable Development Goals? I'll make two brief points here. One, we need to treat women in our families, in our workplace, in our society with respect and dignity. And the same respect and dignity that we show towards the deities that we worship in the form of Shakti, Kali, and Lakshmi. So practice Sanatan Dharma, the principles of Sanatan Dharma. Second, the one very important tool that we have is education, which can be very crucial for women empowerment. Many young girls around the world, especially in developing countries and developing regions, do not even get access to primary education. And research shows that women from poor households in certain developing regions are up to 22 times less likely to even attend school at all and are subject to harsh domestic conditions. So to that, educated, well-informed, and empowered women will really define what our future would look like, whether it's a sustainable one in the face of these threats like climate crisis. And education is important for women in their different roles as members of the society, as professionals, as researchers that we just talked about, as homemakers, or as caregivers. For an example, a well-informed mother can better understand the health and nutrition needs of the new generation that they nurture, and the effects of which will impact the direction our global society will take in the future. And as just highlighted by my fellow speaker, education is not only important for women, but add tremendous value to the research community and to other fields or professional fields with the diversity and the perspective they bring in. In this regard, I would especially like to mention the great work that our ashram schools in Jharkhand and Nipple in India are doing. It makes me immensely happy to see girls from so many villages around who are getting the opportunity to learn with the blessings of Swamiji. And we need to support this effort and do much more. We need to do much more around the globe in the direction of women empowerment and providing them with access to education. We also need to educate ourselves and inform ourselves and truly understand that Atma has no gender to be able to break these inequalities that we see around us. I will just conclude here with a quote from Swami Vivekananda. It says, "There is no chance for welfare of the world unless the condition of women is improved, as it is not possible for a bird to fly on only one wing." Hari Om, and thank you again for giving me the opportunity to contribute today. Deepnayan Bhagwan ki jai.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ratore. You truly had made a small summary of this conference by adding up all the other speakers actually said. Thank you for this. Thank you to all the speakers who actually shared their experience with us. With this, we have come to end to that part. Before announcing a keynote speaker, please let me make a short summary of the conference. Today, we have explored how Sanatan Dharma can contribute to resolving global issue and gender equality. Many of our speakers have told mantra, Matri Deva Bhava, Mother is the first God. Also, it has been mentioned the mother holds the three corners of the house and gives education to the children. It has also been said that the children should treat their mother as God as well as the mother treats their children as God. Therefore, it's very clearly that the first education starts at the family in our houses. Then we continue by mantra, who is saying that women should always be protected and never be left alone. And then it is said that we should address all the women as Mataji, sister, daughter, and only our wife as wife. Only men can address that. Unfortunately, we have seen the pandemic crisis actually influences all of these bases. And it makes us come to conclusion that if this foundation would be here, maybe would have not seen all of these sad things happening in pandemic area. We also have listened about the education and the importance of inclusion the woman into education and how results can change if women are included. We have also heard that gender equality actually exists through the law, but unfortunately, only the law does not provide the real experience to be there. So we do have to live according to our gender. This is according to the Dharma. But finally, Atma has no gender. And United Nations has also said that we should have gender equality today for sustainability tomorrow. Now, let me please address the keynote speaker that you have all been waiting for, His Holiness, Vishwaguru Mahamandaleshwar, Paramhans Swami Maheshwarananda Puriji of Sri Panchayati Maha Nirvani Akhara. Hari Om Vishwaguruji. Let me shortly introduce you to our dear guests and friends. In the last 50 years, His Holiness has traveled extensively throughout the world, tirelessly spreading the message of Sanatan Dharma and Yoga, one of the oldest spiritual lineage in India. Om Sri Alak Puriji Sitpita Parampara. He is the founder of the system Yoga in Daily Life, a system that is practiced on 7 continents by millions of people from all walks of life. And he's the founder of Sri Swami Madhavananda World Peace Council, an NGO with a special consultative status with ECOSOC at the United Nations. His Holiness has undertaken many activities and projects whose goal is to eliminate gender disparities through education or health services. Some of these projects are Gyan Putra Scheme, Women Community Health Service, and Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Education Program. And I believe that you all agree that there is no one better to speak about how Atma has no gender than His Holiness Vishwaguruji. Dear Vishwaguruji, most welcome.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Satya Sanatan Dharma for the whole world. What we have told, it was a very great, all what you were telling. Our ambassador of India, he was in Croatia. She spoke very great. She told about what you all was telling. Denise, Scott, have she first all the times, and she's always bringing the best things and all good for this. Our Mahamandaleshwar, Vivek Puriji, he have worked very hard, and he's with me about 40 years or something near. Also, he's all work have done for all. And you know, for the yoga, what we do, it is the both, male or the female. There is no differences to do. Because we know we have to go into the oneness. And so when we said, Om, when we said Om, that Om has become for all in one in all and all in one. Mahamandaleshwar Swami Gyaneshwar ji, he was given very best about the science, but spiritual, and about the long from the Indians, he gave everything. This has to learn and see us, we all, my dears. In that, we have, and I have heard, everyone you have given that what I can do you more. I can only say humans is humans, and we are only saying humans to humans. But not only this, other creatures, the birds, this, that, all. On the earth, our earth, and we need now about the earth. We have destroyed many things. If we can bring back again to our earth. As I tell you, when I wake up, open my eyes, and I say, I am human. Doesn't matter, male or the female. We all said, I am human. Then we say that we will have any problems or negative things when we said, I am a human. There are two. First, what we call our mother. Our mother, she gave us our child. But second is that we said, Mother, may I step on you, on your earth. So when we are thinking about this, any creatures and humans, we want this earth. Now, the earth is now like a mother is crying. We are doing all very much, but chemicals. And these chemicals there, doesn't matter mother or the father, humans or any, we humans are taking these all chemicals and we all will be dying and we are fighting each other. You see that in India? And in India, we see that the God, you want to see the God. Everyone says a God. But God, and after is coming the second, to remain there. And the third, to go again. So these are the 3 points. And this is for earth. Earth is very important. Earth, water, and the energy. Or we say this, the energy which comes from everywhere. In this, what you have given my all, I would say all my sisters and brothers, you show such a great words, and once more again to Mahamandaleshwar, Gyaneshwar ji, and Swami Vivekanandaji's, and all. It was very great. I was saying to myself, what should I told more? Everything has you given. And so I only can say, we come to the Mother Earth, and the water, and the air. These 3 points, if we can do, we will be again very good. Another point was there. Nowadays, we should love children. The many parents, they go and see children in different way. A little child, they think to go to the father time and mother time, both sides. But one day, maybe they are going away and one child is crying. We need this now in this world. Not we see only taking about a woman or the men, but we have to have the children. That bring again back, it will be very great, and the whole world will be in peace and harmonies. My dears, you are great, all speaker. What can I tell you more? I can only say you, Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. My dear Mahamandaleshwar, Vivek, and Puriji, and the ambassador of India in Croatia. Thank you. All the best. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. All after this doing is only one word. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, dear Vishwaguruji. Thank you for these warm and kind words and for reminding us on Mother Earth and the all 5 elements. We can give our pledge to follow this teaching and to live our lives accordingly. Thank you. Dear friends, dear guests, dear speakers, with words from His Holiness, we will come to the end of this conference. Let me thank all the Karma Yogis who participated to making this event. Let me give my special thank to Kulmena and Chief Puri, Nedeljko Štefanić, who is here with us the whole time in Zagreb, for providing this studio and technical support. Distinguished speakers, thank you for accepting our invitation and for sharing your words and perspectives to us. And dear friends, dear guests, thank you once again. Hopefully you have had a nice time with us. Please let me just share the information that recordings of this conference will be available on website Sanatan Dharma, satanatankultura.com. And please stay tuned. We will announce even further workshops and events on these topics. Once again, dear friends, dear speakers, thank you. Thank you for being with us. We wish you a pleasant evening in the name of the organizer, Hindu Religious Society of Croatia. And we hope to see you soon on the future events. And as our Guruji just said, we will finish this with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
The feet parampara ki
Jai.